Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to the Dayton Strong Recovery 101 live stream. Glad everybody's here tonight. I got an awesome night planned out. I'm glad you guys are able to hop on and listen. I got a good speaker for tonight. Someone that I met in the rooms, in the Zoom rooms, because of COVID. Um, Pretty awesome to meet up with people around the world in these Zoom rooms. I met him in a meeting in California. It's called Zoom of the Beach, and give them a little shout out. It's an awesome small niche meeting. It's not highly publicized for a reason, but it's an awesome meeting. Um, I'm glad to have him on. He's a big part of my recovery. Um, the guy's vigilant in his recovery daily, guys. You know how I preach about this day in and day out about participating in your recovery and staying vigilant. And this guy is a prime example of that. He's got almost 10 years clean under his belt. And I'm going to toot my own horn today because I celebrating 17 months today. Whoop, whoop. Awesome stuff. But I'm going to bring on Kevin. We'll welcome Kevin M. from Idaho. He is a transplant now. No longer in California and in Idaho. What's up, Kevin? You hear me all right? Yeah, good deal.
Can
All
you hear
right.
me
Well,
all
man, I'm
right?
going to turn. Do what?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. We had some audio technical difficulties before we came on, and Kevin was having a hard time hearing me for some reason. But hopefully it'll stay good during the stream. But if he has to hop off and hop back on, what can we do? Life on life's terms, right? Welcome everybody that's coming in. Tanya, I see you in there. Welcome. Appreciate you guys showing in. We got some people on. Kevin, I am going to turn it over to you, brother. I am going to mute myself and let you have at it, brother.
All right. Thank you, Joe. My name is Kevin, and I'm a grateful recovering addict. And I'm just gonna kill this. That's not gonna work. Joe, I want to thank you for inviting me on here. Thank you for those kind words, brother. That's awesome. And I want to say, hell yeah, on your 17 months, man. That rules, brother. That's really awesome. Um, Thank you for acknowledging my time right now. I think I've got 9 years, I've got 11 months, and I've got 9 years, 11 months. Was that 10 days? So in 17 days, I will get my 10 years if I make it. No fronts, man. And but that's what I like to say though. Is just really, as I tell any other people I talk to, like all I've really got is just now so far. And that's the only time in my life I've got to worry about sticking to my sobriety. Um, there's my disclaimer: since this isn't an NA program, I don't dig the word clean. I've just come to realize that I have a disease, man. I have an incurable disease, and it can only be arrested at some point, and that's where my recovery is possible. So as of right now, for the 9 years and 11 months and 10 days. No, a little more than 10 days. I don't know. I don't want to get into it. It's actually 9 months. I mean, 9 years, 11 months, and 27 days. That's where I'm at right now. Okay. And for those days, I've been of what's known as sound and sober mind, but I can never really say, how am I clean of an incurable disease? So that's my disclaimer. That's my opinion. But I know I go to the NA meetings a lot, and I've got they have the disclaimer thing, and I've got to kind of abide, and that's where I got to get out of my ego, because after all my time, I've known that this is mostly a problem with my ego. I'm so glad to be actually on YouTube, and on something that's like open format, that's not NA. because that's pretty much what I want to talk about mostly tonight, is about how things outside of the NA program have come into my life and spoken to me into my recovery. So one thing I want to read is a reading from NA. It's kind of like relates to this, and it's called A Spiritual Journey. It's from a piece of literature we have in Narcotics Anonymous called Living Clean, and it's on page 56, and it's an excerpt from that reading right there. It's called A Spiritual Journey. We each find a way to surrender, but that does not mean we all come to believe in God. For many of our members have been clean for years as atheists. For some of us, coming to believe that NA can accommodate our atheism has itself been a leap of faith. We are welcome no matter what we believe. NA has no opinion on how our members define or practice spirituality. Our individual challenge is to find a definition of spirituality that makes sense to us. By listening carefully and with an open mind to a range of members' opinions and experiences, we form our own understanding that we can use in our own recovery. And this can actually apply to many different things. It doesn't have to be to a higher power of your choice. Or this can be like, if you don't find recovery in Narcotics Anonymous or Alcoholics Anonymous, however you find it, whatever you use to be a vehicle for you to go down this path of recovery. I don't think recovery cares how you do it, just so long as you do it. And I'm going to refer to, this is the book that reading's from. I'm going to refer to another reading from it before I get started. In the preface on page XV, this is a moving line that's really spoken to me a lot. The most important thing about living clean or being sober, or however you need to put it, the most important thing about living clean is that we are alive to do it. For people with the disease of addiction, this is nothing less than a miracle. And if you don't believe in miracles, well, if you've had a problem with, any kind of drug, whether it's alcohol, overeating, any kind of the well-known hard drugs, narcotics, the hippie drugs, psychedelics, cannabis, whatever, and you're doing what you can to live your life without, employing any of that anymore, well then, man, that's a miracle right there, and it became a miracle for me, even in my meager life. My war story is very boring. I came in the rooms and I heard some crazy, crazy stuff about people doing some crazy, crazy things. Crazy things like, living homeless, prostitution, freaking violence, living on the edge, going overboard, all these insane stories. And you know what? I didn't really do any of that. Like in my addiction, I'd do any drug that was put in front of me, except I never touched a needle. And that was my big moderating factor. I grew up in San Pedro, California. It's the port of Los Angeles. It's one of the three cities that make up what's known as Worldport, LA, which is the third largest seaport in the world. But it was still a small town, and my parents are still together, and and I grew up in well, I guess a normal family. Went to Catholic school most of my early life until I went to high school, which I started going to public school. Just did the deal in life, but throughout my childhood, I just always had a problem with feeling like I was worth anything or I was acceptable and whatnot. And then, but I remember when I was really young, when I was able to ride my bike, I was probably about 8 or 9. I'm able to ride my bike to the store and go get candy. I would like, oh, I'll do work. I have money in my pocket. And I'd just go and just blow it at this candy store, just add all this candy and just eat it all and then have to do it again. So I guess that was probably the precursor to my addiction. But moving along in life, I got married really young. And then my wife, she cheated on me. She cheated on me with a very good friend of mine. And and I just felt really low and down and out in life. And I was like, fuck the world, fuck everything. I hate it all. I would even say things like, oh, my wife loved me, but she just loved sex with my friends more, as a kind of a reference to her. I haven't spoken to her in a very long time. And eventually, doing my step work, I'm going to revisit that comment I just made. But anyways, after that, I moved out of LA. I moved up to Oregon, and I started meeting people who would hand me some pot, and I realized that I could buy a lot of pot for a little money, sell the pot, then I get a lot for free. And I just started. The wheels just started turning. This had to be like 1991, 92. Now I actually know the first day I first smoked weed and got high and crossed the threshold, and that was January 3rd. And 7 days ago, 1 week ago, January 3rd, 1985. And I want to look cool to these guys around me. So they're passing around a joint, and I smoked this thing, and I'm sitting here holding it in because I don't want to look like a pussy. And next thing I know, I was gone. And I was like, I love this. And from then, man, my my disease got triggered. That was when my first true affliction of my disease of addiction really set in. And but then from there, I would always have a job. Always had a place to live. I had a place to live here in Idaho, and I was living in Lake Tahoe at the same time. I had two different places. I pretty much kept up on most of my bills. I was making a lot of money selling drugs, but unfortunately, I was putting it all in my heap of junk cars. I thought I was this really cool, super good guy because I can drive around in my junky cars and sleep in rest areas with my dogs, constantly looking out for cops and everything. And I thought it was really cool because I could spot a cop in an undercover car, at a great distance. There's some great talent. Oh, K Dog, that's my nickname. Oh, he's got the best stuff, and he doesn't step on his coat. And and all this was like, oh wow, people like me. I have an identity, and that was like where I was headed with all this. Was this identity I was gaining, and that I was, people appreciate me, people want me around. And then it seemed like, well, I don't have to work all that much. I can just go from concert to festival to whatever and just constantly be showing up. And that eventually just weighed on me pretty hard. And so I remember one time I was on a run, and I was at my place here in Idaho, and I was bringing some weed to this town, and my front end of my car, it's an all-wheel drive, and the front end went out, and I got towed here, and I went to a junkyard to get another front end, because all of a sudden I'm a mechanic, because I had to get this thing together so I could get here to get there to get to this other thing and all this stuff, and I have all these plans, and come on, God, I got these plans. I got to get these drugs to these people so I can get these money so I can be these places so I can be the cool guy and whatnot. And so I'm sitting here trying to put this thing. I'm under my car, and I'm trying to put this freaking this axle on, and it's just not working. I'm trying my best and whatnot, and I just cannot hold this thing up anymore. Like almost 100 pounds, probably plus. This big front metal axle, and the thing came down. The pumpkin, boosh, and that was about that close to my head. And this thing would have crushed my head, my face. I probably would be dead, maybe. And I was like, I crawled out from under the car. And I mean, I've always believed in God. I've always had a God of my understanding long before I got into recovery. And I came out from underneath the car, and I started raging pissed. What the fuck, God? What the fuck is going on here? This is me cursing at the God that I know creates lightning and moves mountains and creates the ocean and all these things. I was well aware of that, but all of a sudden I'm pissed off and cursing at this person or thing, whatever it is, And I said, come down here on your spaceship and explain to me just what the fuck's going on. I want it written in plain, simple freaking English. What the hell is going on? and what's going on here and why this thing and why nothing ever works out for me and yada yada. And I was pissed, cussing at God or whatever it is, or whatever you need to call it. I know what I call it. It's not the point here, because the point here is that I finally took that to a mechanic, got it fixed, got it all squared away. I missed all these engagements I was supposed to make. I went back out to make another run, and let's see, 3 months later, for the first time in my 27 to 25 year career, bracelets. And then from there, I went through the process, got arraigned, got bailed out. My father came up and bailed me out, and and he did it again, even though the last time something like this had happened, he said, "Dude, this is the last time, man." He came up this time, and he pretty much saved my life. Thing was, I had my dogs with me, and the dogs were in a kennel. My mom and my dad were like, "Well, we really need to get the dogs." So my dad came up and got the dogs. And he said, "Should we get Kevin too?" I was just like, I'm glad they did get me, but had they not, I would have been cool. I'm glad you got the dogs. I'm the fucker, don't worry about it. But he came and got me. And he sat me down. He says, "Kevin, we love you, man. I don't know what you're doing with your life, but we always want to help you, and we always want to love you. And we're here to help you when you need our help. But we're getting really old now, and we might not be able to help you." And that really freaking hit home with me right there, and I've explained this to them all the time, that statement was like God coming down and explaining something to me. God came down some kind of spaceship or light or whatever, came through my father and said, "Hey, this might not be able to happen again. Are you sure you want to continue this?" And then I went through that process, and then I went down to San Diego because I, lost all the wads of cash I used to have in my pocket. I'm living back in my parents' house, 42 years old, and I'm a teenager again, under my parents' house, under their rules. My income is walking my dogs on the beach and getting aluminum cans out of the thing. And then I have to go to these drug classes because I'm on probation now. And I got all these hoops I got to jump through. So I walk upstairs to this meeting. It's called Noon at the Beach. It's in San Diego. It's like 3 blocks from my parents' house. And I walk in there, I sit down, and I look up on the wall. It was up there on the wall. The 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous. And I'm like, there it was, man. I guess I asked for it. I want it down, written down in plain and simple English. What the fuck's going on here, God? Oh, the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous. So anyways, when I got in, I started freaking getting this piece of paper signed because I needed it signed and whatnot. And then come to find out, hey, there's free coffee here. Hey, sometimes people bring cookies and stuff. Hey, I can hang out here and socialize with people, and I don't have to go to a bar because I ain't got no money to go there anyway. And Narcotics Anonymous is totally free. If you got $1 or so, or whatever, Seventh Tradition, or whatever A program you go to, I'm sure they got the Seventh Tradition. Hook them up, And but from there, I started actually listening to this stuff, and I came to realize, what do you mean get a sponsor? I've been snowboarding all this time, and I heard about people who have sponsors and whatnot. So somebody's going to pay me to come here or something? What? I do in a car, and this guy's, going to foot my bill or something. And came to realize it's just somebody that I got to get to know and trust when I get ready to freaking do these steps. Because I thought, oh, you mean there's something more than just reading them up on the wall? And soon, I started doing service. I started participating. And I kind of realized that, wow, I haven't done drugs in a while. This feels pretty good. This feels pretty interesting. And I really like listening to these stories. And then I started talking. And I didn't sound as good as some of the people in here, like Joe and whatnot. But I just started sharing, And then when I stopped trying to sound good and sound profound and make everybody laugh and all that nonsense. Excuse me. Oh, these are my new tall boys. It's Arizona iced tea with no sugar. So just to let you know. All right. Anyways, I just started listening that maybe I should just talk about what's really going the fuck on with me. And I did. And when shit was down, I fucking talked about stuff that fucking bothered me. And I even cried in the rooms. And I sat there and understood why other people were crying in the rooms and why stuff was weighing heavy. And I heard these crazy stories. And I was just like, wow, I can't imagine. I can't imagine myself doing that. But then again, I got to realize that though I'm not, I'm a pansy addict. I've not been really around the block. You know what I am? I'm an addict. No different than anybody else in that room. My life is unmanageable when I'm lost in my addiction. There is something greater than myself that's going to restore me to sanity. When I turn my will and my life over to that thing, I'm going to have some guidance. The road's going to become clear. The clouds are going to go away. The path is going to illuminate. The light at the end of the tunnel is not really where I'm going to get to, but what the light at the end of the tunnel is to illuminate my path down the tunnel toward it. And, then I had to make a list of my moral inventory. And then I had to find, I had to come willing to understand the exact nature of my wrongs so I can share them. And then I had to deal with my character defects. And then I had to be willing to have my shortcomings taken away. And right there, they say that what's shortcoming, what's a character defect? I just heard it recently at a thing that a character defect is seeing that a car has 3 wheels on it. And a shortcoming is getting in that car and driving it anyway. And I'm like, that's got to be about the best example I ever heard of that. That's awesome. Because that's what I do. I got this freaking ego thing going on. And it was weird because when I was in jail, long before I started going to NA, I read this book. And since I'm not in an NA forum, I can say it's by Eckhart Tolle. It's called A New Earth. And this book is about depression. And this book is about how depression is actually a concept of being egomaniacal. It's part of my ego. Thinking that I'm worse off and lamer than everybody, and I'm uglier than everybody, and nobody's going to like me, and I'm not attractive, and all this shit is a ego problem. And it's and that is all about being here now and not getting caught up in my bullshit from my past or my resents or whatever from my past and my fears of the future, but being right here now and getting out of the story and being present is one of the keys to deal with my depression and deal with these the low self-esteem and all this stuff. And that was kind of interesting. Now come along, I get into recovery and I get down to, because, eventually I had to make a list of the people I became willing to make amends to. And I ended up being the first person on that list. And then I had to become willing to make amends to these people that I was able to, as long as it doesn't hurt them or myself, and it was hard to look me myself. I actually looked in the mirror and made amends to myself, and then there it is for me, all y'all in recovery, step work, freaking step 10. I had to take a continuing inventory of myself and admit when I'm wrong. And right there, that's the key for me to really, it leads back to what Eckhart Tolle was saying, being in the present here and now, pulling myself out of the fucking bullshit that I want to create, and I was like, fucking awesome. And I have a flip side of that coin of step 10. I got to take personal inventory of myself. And when I'm doing the right thing, I got to keep doing it, man. And that's just keeping me going. I'm loving all these comments, but I can't read them. So keep it coming. I can't read them. Maybe I'll rewatch this and see what everybody had to say. But let's go back to the ego thing. This is the NA Narcotics Anonymous green and gold book called, not sure where the camera is. All right. It Works How and Why is what it's called. Yes. Thank you for the thumbs up, Joe. I'm really bad at going on and on. So
it's hell to get old, ain't it?
Thanks for showing up.
It's hell to get old, ain't it?
Ha! Hey, just because you're making it look good, man, don't count for you, bro. Sorry. Anyway, we begin to see, this is page 32, page 33. I'll try and read as much of it as fast as I can. But this is like been the most elemental, still one of the best and my favorite bits of Narcotics Anonymous literature. So it starts on page 32. When I was doing my third step, I even transcribed all this into my step work just because it was so important. So we begin to see positive results from the decision we have made. We begin to notice changes. While the circumstances of our lives may not change, the way we deal with the circumstances does, because we have made the decision to allow spiritual principles to work in our lives. We may notice a sense of relief. We're being relieved of a burden we've carried far too long, the need to control everything and everyone. We begin to react differently to the situations and people around us. As we gain acceptance, we cease to struggle against life on life's terms. Striving to maintain and build on our surrender, we are better able to live and enjoy life in the moment. For some of us, deciding to turn our will and our lives over to the care of the God of our understanding, or the nothingness of your understanding, whatever works for you, is a process, not an event. However, in making that decision, we do make a commitment to practice this step in our lives. When we are tempted to manipulate a situation, we recall this decision and let go. When we catch ourselves attempting to exert control over someone or something, we stop instead, ask a loving God to help us work this step. I'm going to stop there really quick because that's what my 10th step does for me. That's where I check myself before I wreck myself, because I am still out to wreck myself. That's what I call the 10th step, the check yourself before you wreck yourself step. Anyway, relinquishing control is not easy, but we can do it with help. With guidance from our sponsor and daily practice, we are sure to find ourselves learning how to get our egos out of the way so our higher power can work in our lives. Each time we are fearful over a situation, we can turn to the step and find the means to walk through our fear without resorting to our old ways. Recovery doesn't exempt us from having to live through painful situations. At some point in our lives, we have to mourn the death of a loved one, especially your dogs. Deal with the end of a relationship. When such things happen to us, we hurt, and no amount of spiritual awareness will take our pain away. We do find, however, that the caring presence of a loving power greater than ourselves will help us get through our pain clean. We may find that we are able to feel our higher power's presence in the group, in our friends, in talking to our sponsor. By tapping into that power, we begin to trust and rely on it. We can cease questioning why painful things happen and trust that walking through the difficult times in our lives can strengthen our recovery. We can grow in spite of our pain, or perhaps in response to it. Great book, folks. I love it. Thank you for sparing with me. And then so I kept doing this process because eventually I had to through prayer and meditation, improve my conscious contact with this power greater than myself. This moment of checking myself before I wreck myself. However I do it. If I have to say, Kevin, you're fucking doing it again, stop it. I'll do that. I'll start reminiscing stuff in my head. Say like the situation around when my wife left me. Excuse me. And I'll still replay that. That freaking happened 30 freaking years ago. And I still replay it like it happens yesterday. And I got to say, Kevin, stop doing that. You're driving a freaking propane truck. You got 2,000 gallons of bomb behind you. You're on an icy road. Why are you fucking thinking about this bullshit, dude? Seriously. And I didn't say the word God. I didn't say anything. I didn't do anything NA. I just said, Kevin, stop fucking doing this right now. That's some check yourself before you wreck yourself stuff that I have to do. You know? And a lot of times I do say that serenity prayer. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change and the courage to change the things I can. What's the one thing I can always change? Me. My fucking attitude. My approach. My ability to freaking stew in it or get the fuck out of the stew pot. You know, and when I get out of the stew pot, don't jump in the fire. Just get on the counter and dry off and walk along the counter. Whatever the hell this image is making for you. I'm just saying, you know, my depression, my ego, my disease, my addiction wants to put me in the stew pot, reach out of the stew pot while I'm in the stew pot and turn the fucking heat up. And that's all me doing that, you know. And so then eventually, you know, I had a spiritual awakening as a result of doing these steps. And the very first steps I had a spiritual awakening from doing was I took the stairs. I have to step with my feet and walk through the threshold of a door into a room of Narcotics Anonymous, even if it means walking across the grass to a park. I have to step over to that meeting. You know, those are the do the steps or die, motherfucker. If you are new in whatever your recovery program is, AA, NA, CA, this A, Al-Anon, WADA, Smart Recovery, whatever. You know, you had to walk. You had to do those steps to walk from where you were into this new thing, into this different thing. You know, those are, they say in these meetings in all the old schools, do the steps or die, motherfucker. Well, I mean, they do mean to, you know, get the book and write steps, share it with your sponsor. But originally what it means was you got to walk out of your old life. You got to walk away from your old thing. I do. I've got to walk. I had to walk away from my own thing. Sorry, I didn't mean to say you. I mean me. I had to walk away from my old life. I had to walk away from my old thinking. I had to walk. I had to do the step away and step into what the heck's going on here. And, you know, and I'm finding a new way to live. Like that reading said, you know, NA has not given me a new life. NA has given me a way to live my life right now. My life. This is my life. You know, I wasn't just reborn. I just changed directions, which means I got back on the path of my true life. You know, and it's given me a way to stay on that path. It's given me a great pair of shoes to walk on this path. You know, it's given me the headlamp when that path gets dark. You know, and that's what I'm doing. And, you know, and since doing that, I'm finding a lot of things in my life because I've liked a lot of really cool things. And I didn't think, oh man, when I do that, I want to fucking smoke some weed. Like when I had a kayak in my parents' house and I would go out and I would go fishing out in Mission Bay. And it was so awesome to not be doing this. And it's like the Coast Guard. Oh, is the water going to get on my thing? Am I going to drop my pipe? Oh, my fishing pole. Oh, my. And then sitting here in the beautiful bay. Every now and then I'm actually doing this. But I'm doing this. I'm casting line. I'm not worried about the Coast Guard finding weed in my kayak. Oh, they're going to seize my kayak. You know, I'm not fumbling. I don't need that. I'm like, wow, I don't need to smoke weed right now. This is cool. And then one of the hardest things for me to do is go play disc golf. I love disc golf. I'm terrible at ball and stick golf, but I love disc golf. But man, what a trigger to freaking not have to feel like I have to go, oh, I'm over here looking for my disc. You know, I didn't have to have a freaking 6-pack of beer in my bag anymore. I can go play disc golf. And since I didn't waste so much time trying to get high and playing disc golf, I could probably throw another round too. And man, music, concerts, shows, unbelievable. I started going to shows, man. And I remember 2016, I'm back up here. I had to bring a van back up here to Idaho from San Diego. It's 2016, so I'm like 4 years, clean, sober, whatever you need to call it. We're just synonymous to me, so I'm going to use them synonymously. I went to the Gorge up in Washington and saw a band and I love. The band's called Fish, and I'm up there. And the scene's back. I'm in the lot. Wow, awesome. This is great. And I thought, God, I really want to do some freaking mushrooms right now. And I did what I thought I'd never be able to do. I called a friend of mine who's been sober. I think he got sober in AA a few years before me. And I called him up, dude. And I said, dude, I really want to get high right now. And he says, dude, fuck that shit. You don't need that. You know that. And I'm like, all right, bro, thank you. I'll think about it. I fucking rolled around the lot and I went to the show. And somewhere about 3:30, 4 in the morning, I got this crazy cool hat on. I've got incense sticking out. I got some kids who at the most are half my age. And they got their Bluetooth. We're boogieing out some EDM. 3:30, 4 in the morning, man. Boogieing out to EDM. And I'm sitting there dancing along. I still have my clean date. Clean date you have now is the best one you're ever going to have. I have a friend, his name's whatever, and he's at a meeting that I used to go to. And they always say that clean date you have now, which is hopefully your last clean date. Because just because you have some time in doesn't mean you're subject. Just because I've been here this long, 9 years, 11 months, 27 days. Just because I've been there this long doesn't mean I'm subject. I'm cool. I don't really feel like using drugs. That doesn't mean I don't feel like it sometimes. That doesn't mean I'm gonna wake up and, oh, where the fuck this come from? And that's why I'm an addict. I gotta understand that. All I got is right now so far. And that's subject to change. It's a millisecond, it's a parsnip of a thought. And all this time, all this effort, all these long speaker meetings I do. Thank you guys for bearing through me with all this, and so I gotta, stick around. And then, I started reading books, and one of my favorite astrologers wrote various books. I'm reading one of his books. And this is kind of long. Sorry. You can leave. I'm going to keep going until Joe throws me off the freaking screen. But I'm reading this in this book, man. And what's cool is this is what's cool about this right here on YouTube. This isn't NA. This is AA. This is just Recovery 101. All America, all world, global strong. Straight up, Dayton. Right on, dog. That's right. We're all strong together, unified and strong, yo. And serene.
That's it, brother. Read away.
Read away. Here we go. So I'm reading this book, man, and this is what it reads. Upon leaving my parents' home and arriving in college, I confirmed my growing suspicion that the educational system had tried to conceal a secret of great magnitude. Readings of Iliad, Labar, and Joseph Campbell introduced me to the paper trail documenting the existence of other realities besides the narrow little niche most people regard as all there is. Their work in turn led me to the literature of Western occultism, whose intriguing material was written not by academics, but by experimenters who had actually traveled into the great beyond. The myriad reports were not in complete agreement, but many of their descriptions overlapped. The consensus was that the other side of the veil is not a single territory, but teems with variety, some relatively hellish, some heavenly. Among its many names, the dream time, fourth dimension, underworld, astral plane, collective unconsciousness, after death state, eternity, Bardo, Hades, and Realm of the Archetypes, just to name a few.
We've got someone on YouTube asking a question, Kevin. How do you manage triggers today?
Ha! Just listen in. Let me go, folks. There was another issue on which all the explorers agreed. Events in those invisible realms are the root cause of everything that happens down here below. Shamans visit the spirit world to cure their sick patients because the origins of their illnesses lie there. For Kabbalists, the visible earth is a tiny outcropping at the end of the long chain of creation that originates at a point which is both inconceivably far away and yet right here, right now. Even psychotherapists believe in a materialistic version of the ancient idea that how we behave today is irrevocably shaped by events that happened in a distant time and place. As I researched the testimonials about the treasure land, I registered the fact that dreams and drugs were not only the points of entry, meditation could give access, as could specialized forms of drumming and chanting and singing and dancing. The Tantric tradition taught that certain kinds of sexual communion can lead there, as does, of course, physical death. I wanted to try all those other doors except that last one. Pot, hashish, and LSD were very good to me. Never a single bad trip. I had bad trips, but that's what he wrote. But their revelations were too damn hard to hold on to. As I came down from the psychedelic high, I could barely translate the truths about the fourth dimension into a usable form back in normal waking awareness. At least in my work with dreams, I had seen a steady growth of both my unconscious mind's ability to produce meaningful stories and my conscious mind's skill at interpreting them. But my progress was almost nil in the work of retrieving booty from the holy places where drugs took me. The big problem was that, unlike other techniques on the list, the psychedelic substances bypassed my willpower. Their chemical battering ram simply smashed through the doors of perception. No adroitness was involved on my part, no craft. One of my meditation teachers referred to drug use, no matter how responsible, as, quote unquote, storming the kingdom of heaven through violence. Gradually then, I ended my relationship with the legal magic that had given me so much pleasure. Instead, I affirmed my desire to build mastery through hard work, dream work, meditation, and tantric exploration became cornerstones of my practice. In time, I learned to slip through the suburbs of Mysterium via song and dance as well as step work, as well as recovery. I realized that my exploits, my opinion that I'm going to achieve enlightenment through these drug use things, the shamanic experience, the entheogenic experience is going to get me to these astral planes, was just a freaking waste of time. And these things to help me achieve this thing called enlightenment were actually a hindrance more than help. And I read it right here in a book that had nothing to do with NA. And then I like to read poetry and stuff. One of my favorite poets is a Sufi poet from, so many thousands of years ago. I'm sorry I didn't look this up in Google. I don't have exact dates for you. But a lot of you know his name is Rumi. Oh, no. This is not from Rumi. This is from this guy named Patanjali. Patanjali was the inventor of yoga. Patanjali lived a couple 1,500 to 2,000 years before Jesus Christ showed up here on this planet. And I was reading out of a book called Enlightenment from him. Check this one out. When one is freed from the binding influence of desire, one can focus without distraction and choose naturally for what one really wants. When desire is not undermined by addictive or compulsive behavior, it naturally flows in concordance with the forces of evolution. This leads to fulfillment in every area of human concern. It is from the individual acts of addiction that life is caught by the boundaries of ignorance. Thus, detachment reestablishes the doer in his or her correct relationship with the world, that of master rather than of slave. We are born to steer the ship of our life safely to our goal. We are not born to founder on the shoals or reefs of outrageous experience. I mean, dude, Alcoholics Anonymous was formulated in what, 1939? This is like 1,500, 2,000 years before Christ. I mean, that would just blew my mind, man. And so it's just I love seeing that this process that NA started me on, it brings me to things, bring me to this thing, this YouTube thing. This is all recovery, regardless of however you're doing it. Or maybe what's recovery about? Maybe I should check this out. What do these people got to say? I know I went to the rooms and I sat in the rooms, and we have a 10th tradition that says we have no opinion on outside issues. We don't care what aisle, the political side of the political aisle you're on. But I'm in that room, and I'm not sure if she showed. I invited her. I'm not sure she's here, but there is a woman in that room. She's a few years older than I am. She lives in San Diego. She's well-to-do. She has a very nice car, and she is full-on other side of the aisle from me. I'm a hippie-ass liberal motherfucker, and I mean, I'm totally communist, socialist, whatever. That's not the point, because she isn't. She's all on the other side of that. And one day I'm in that room, and this woman is telling my story. I'm like, that's what I do. That's me. What? That's me. This woman and I are really good friends now. And we don't talk politics. We just talk recovery. We talk life. We live, enjoy our lives, and we support recovery. All y'all are my co-sponsors, man. Get a sponsor, but better after always get co-sponsors. Get to know people in your recovery group. Get to know them, and when you get to trust them, get to be real with them, and let them be real with you, and respect that space. It is a beautiful thing. I remember I was actually at an in-person meeting in San Diego when I was just down there, and I told that to her. I said, how everyone says someone's going to tell your story? The craziest thing is that person's the most unlike you person in the world. And I told that to her, and you told my story. It brought her to tears. We cried and hugged. It was so beautiful, man. And I just keep finding other things. I got more poems and stuff to read. I do want to close this down. We've been here a while. So I have some things, I got a question, because this is part of, like, we don't keep what we have by giving it away, is said a lot in NA. And then I read this. Are you finally ready to start loving life back with equal intensity? Are you ready to start loving life back with equal intensity? When I opened up and realized, there's a loving and higher power greater than myself, and I can see that, okay, yeah, I have this entity that I focus on, but I have this group, I have this recovery, I have this people willing to sit here. I have Joe freaking inviting me on here, and that dude is cool. We've never met in person, man, and I know that I can call him, and I hope he knows he can call me if you need to talk. I'm ready to love back with this equal intensity, man. And then I just want you guys to be aware of some things about life. All of creation is conspiring to shower us with blessings. Life is crazily in love with us, brazenly and innocently in love with us. The universe always gives us exactly what we need, exactly when we need it. The winds and the tides are on our side forever and ever. Amen. Ah, woman. Ah, yeah. The fire and the rain are scheming to steal our impossible pain. The sun and the moon and the stars remember our real names, and our ancestors pray for us while we are dreaming. We have guardian angels and thousands of teachers, provocateurs with designs to unleash us, helpers and saviors we can't even imagine, brothers and sisters who want us to blossom. Thanks to them, thanks to you for my recovery, thanks to them from whom the blissful blessings flow, we are waking up. Spiritual awakening. It's right there, the 12 step, and it's right here. And it has nothing to do. Some hippie astrologer wrote this great book, and it has all these great things in it. But wow, that speaks to my recovery. And I hope you find something out there that speaks to your recovery. You know? It's another one. Now, this is the Valentine I sent out. A lot of people here might have gotten one yet. Joe, you're going to get one this year. Every year, I send out Valentines to everybody I can, and I pass them out. I dress up as my superhero alter ego, Captain Freelove, and I sit on a freaking street corner. Instead of being a panhandler asking for something, I'm there to offer free love. It's a free love. Sometimes it comes with a sucker. Can't send them suckers in the mail anymore because the post office wants to charge me $4. And if I send them to everybody, it's going to cost me $800. Sorry, I can't afford it. But you're going to get a piece
Them
of paper.
bastards. Them bastard salesmen.
Right. But I started doing this well over 20 years ago. And now this stuff that I've been handing out, God does it sing to me. This is my self-realization through recovery. Because now that I got the drugs out, like I said in this really long reading, I got into song and dance and other things. I'm realizing, wow, these words are coming to me, and I'm going to read them in poems and in songs. I have a brother. I wish he was here. I don't know, but I can't see who's here. But it doesn't matter. I know he's here in spirit. He's here in my heart, man. And we always talk about the Grateful Dead. I saw 10 actual Grateful Dead shows in my life. I know people seen hundreds. I know people who haven't seen them once. But, man, these lyrics that they come across with are speaking to me big time. Big time. When I hear that, one way or another, this darkness has got to give. Wow, what a message of hope. And this is my one way as Narcotics Anonymous, man. This is one way. Because if it's not this way, maybe it's another. And this is another. I just keep reading it. I just keep following this path. And this darkness in my life has got to give, every silver lining has a touch of gray. You talk about the pink clouds in these meetings or in recovery in life. I call it the sinister pink cloud, because when I think everything's going great and everything, I start to not really, I don't need this anymore. I've got it. And I got it is one of the first 3 words that I have declared that I'm about to relapse. I got it. And also about the sinister pink cloud is that when things aren't pink cloud and rosy anymore, well, fuck this then. If everything's just going to fuck up on me, I don't want to be doing this anymore. And I've had those moments, but yeah, the Grateful Dead, touch of gray. Every silver lining has a touch of gray, man. And I got to understand that there's, good and bad things about everything, and everything's not completely always great. And everything's not always bad, horribly bad. But in the song, it says we, because Narcotics Anonymous is a we program. We program. And we will get by. And we will survive. That's the lyrics in the song. We will get by. We will survive. This is just like, thank you, higher power, whatever you are, because somehow these are messages. This is notes. These are butterfly kisses or dragonfly signposts. Because I'm always worried about what's going to come down the river. They always say that kind of water under the bridge. But I'm still like hanging on. All that water went away under the bridge. All these things in the past that I can't change now and still bother me. And then what the fuck's going to come down the river now? And I'm all worried about what's going to happen next. And then the water went. And then I realized through recovery, you know where I am? I'm on the bridge. And what does the bridge do? The bridge is usually going in a different direction than the water I'm worried about. And that's when I got to realize, 10th step, I'm going to be here now and just keep walking the path that this bridge is on. And not be overly concerned about the flow of the water. So as I come to realize that, excuse me, I'm worth something. I'm cool. I'm all right. I have value. And it was so cool because I came to San Diego. I didn't hustle in San Diego. And all these people in NA rooms who've loved and cared for me, like Joe, I've never met the guy. So I obviously never sold drugs to him. I never went to Ohio to sell drugs. This guy
Thank
thinks
God.
I'm pretty cool. I think. I hope. Obviously, I'm more cool than pretty, but I'm still pretty cool. And wow, people accept me just because I'm here, just for who I am, for my true self, man. And that acceptance is helping me to. That's what they say around here. We're gonna love you until you learn to love yourself. And they also said around here, fake it until you make it. But then this Living Clean book you read, that's not so good. That might help for a little bit, but that's not what we're here about. We're not here about faking anything. I'm not here about, I'm here to get real with my feelings and get real with my life and get real with my truth, man. Because on this Valentine, I hope to give it to you all at some time. Deep at the center of my being, there is a well of love. I want you to tell this to yourself as I read it. Imagine me being your voice telling this to you. Let's start over. Ready? Deep at the center of my being, there is an infinite well of love. I now allow this love to flow to the surface. It fills my heart, my body, my mind, my consciousness, my very being, and radiates out from me in all directions and returns to me multiplied. The more love I use and give, the more I have to give. The supply is endless. The use of love makes me feel good. They say that me feel good. It is an expression of my inner joy. I love myself. Therefore, I take loving care of my body. I lovingly feed it nourishing foods, beverages. I lovingly groom it and dress it, and my body lovingly responds. This is my addiction. My additions. I lovingly recover my body from its past. I lovingly do recovery. I provide for myself a comfortable home, one that fills all my needs and is a pleasure to be in. I fill the rooms with the vibration of love that all who enter, myself included, will feel this love and be nourished by it. I love myself. Therefore, I work at a job that I truly enjoy, or try to. I truly enjoy doing. One that uses my creative talents and abilities, working with and for people that I love and that love me, and earning a good income, hopefully. I love myself. Therefore, I behave and think in a loving way to all people. For I know that which I give out returns to me multiplied. Do you hear that? I get to keep what I give away. This isn't NA, but it's recovery. I only attract loving people in my world, for they are a mirror of what I am. We program. I love myself. Therefore, I forgive and totally release the past, all past experiences, and I am free. That right there, that line, I'm going to read it again real quick. I forgive and totally, I love myself. Therefore, I forgive and totally release the past and all past experiences, and I am free. That, my friends, is step 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 when I put myself at the very first person at the top of my 8th step, and then 9th when I was the very first person that I made amends to. That sentence right there is those 3 steps, those whatever steps, you count them. I've been here too long. I'm not going to sit here and get the numbers right, because I love myself. Therefore, I live totally the now, experiencing each moment as good and knowing that my future is bright and joyous and secure. That's 10th step. For I am a beloved child of the universe, and the universe lovingly takes care of me and forevermore. And so it is. And that last line right there is steps 1, 2, and 3. I just love this, man. I love this life. I love all of us. I love all of you, whether you're in recovery or not. And I'm learning to love you even when I freaking can't stand you. Society, people, traffic, people on the other side of the aisle. People on my side of the aisle are like, what? Really? Kill it. And I'm so glad that I'm doing this. I'm so glad you're all here to listen to me, man. Thanks for bearing with me for all this. I got more poems, I got more stuff, but I think we're going to shut it down now.
You've had so many comments.
Brother, you have that gratitude prayer, don't you? That's not the one in the Just for Today, but that other gratitude prayer.
Yeah, it's here on my phone.
For being here. I want to thank Joe for asking me to be here. I want to thank you all for my recovery. I hope you find a path away from the drug use, away from the addiction, away from the overeating, away from the character defects, away from the pain, away from the self-inflicted misery, away from the low self-esteem. I hope you find that path. I hope you find that path. And I hope you realize, like I have, or I just realized that I think I found the path. It feels like I'm a pretty good path. And that this path is a journey. It's not a one-time event. This is a process. And so thank you very, very much for your time. As again, I go on and on and on. I can keep going on, but I'm going to let it go there. Joe, namaste. Namaste, everybody. Thank you for having me. I think Joe's got this really cool gratitude prayer that I love. He throws it up, and when he leads the meetings, he likes to say it. So I'm going to ask him to say it after this, and I'm going to bid you all adieu. And then I'm going to probably come back in a day or two, and I'm going to watch this again so I can read all your comments.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay, Kevin?
I can hear you. I'm going to shut up so you all can hear me a lot.
There, there was a few comments that I wanted to go back and read before I close it out. Someone had said to please tell Kevin that he really taught his little sister something tonight. I needed to stand on the bridge. Holy shit! So you may know who that is. It says YouTube user, but you have a little sister. She's listening, and someone wanted you to comment real quick before we close out. Make it quick. They were asking about triggers. How do you handle triggers? That's an important question, and I wanted to ask you.
I don't know, man. I don't know how I handle it. I've had extreme willpower, man. I mean, on the 5 days ago, I celebrated 24 years off of cigarettes, and I just smoked a cigarette on January 5th, 1998, and I smoked this thing, and I said, I just quit these fucking things. And I kept putting it in my friend's face, and I said, "See, you see this? You see this?" Horribly, it was a freaking Marlboro 100, Marlboro Light 100. And I'm smoking this thing. I put it in his friend's face, and I just said, "You see this? You see this?" He's like, "What? I said, "You kept badgering him with that." And I said, "This is the last cigarette I'm ever going to smoke." And still to this day, I don't know, man. I was working at a bar. I work at a bar here in town. You know, I get to see music. I actually have one more thing I want to read, but whatever. And I'm going to read this event. I'm going to read this at the end of this comment. You know, and it was at a New Year's, and they came around to champagne, and the waitresses know I'm sober. They say, "You want some champagne?" And I really looked at it for a second. In that pause, I got to realize it. Fuck, I'm an addict. No, thank you. I don't say no. No, don't do that. No, thank you. I don't need to empower that thing, that glass of champagne. I don't need to empower this glass of untouched freaking whiskey that no one touched. And no one's cared. No one's around it. The bar's empty. I'm cleaning up all the shit and everything. And I don't need to touch this, you know. But then, right before I leave the bar that night, I had this bucket of shit and fucking everybody's drinks, cigarette butts, who knows, that and the other. And this girl walks up and she says, "Hey, they said they're going to give me $20 if I drink a cup of that." And I'm like, "Are you fucking insane?" Even if I was one of my wasted days, I'm going to do something that stupid. And I'm just was like, wow, that's how fucked up in the head that shit makes you. I'm so glad I fucking did that. You know, so in a lot of the concerts around the country, there's this group, I don't know, with the Grateful Dead, it's called the Wharf Rats. With String Cheese Incident, they're called the Jellyfish. With Fish, they're called the Fellowship. I'm not much of a widespread fan, so I'm not sure what they're called there. But what they are is they're a group of sober people going to shows. And they have the yellow balloon. And they have a table. And I started going to shows, like I said, that night at that Fish show. I went and found that table during set break. And you know what I did during set break? I go to that meeting. It's not NA. It's not AA like this form, but it's recovery. And everybody there is in either or some sort of it. And some of them aren't. They're just there to be going to show sober. And I loved it so much that I wrote this as it's a play off of our what's called Just for Today in NA. And I called it Just for Tonight. Just for tonight, my thoughts will be on the fellowship, living and enjoying shows without the use of drugs or alcohol. Just for tonight, I will have faith in someone in this fellowship who believes in me and wants to support me in my musical discovery. Just for tonight, I will have a fellowship. I will support it to the best of my ability. Just for tonight. Through the fellowship, I will try to get a better perspective on living, loving music, and going to shows. Just for tonight, I will be unafraid. My thoughts will be on my new associations of the fellowship. People who are not using drugs or alcohol and have found a new way of enjoying music and life. So long as I follow this way, I have nothing to fear. just for tonight. So how do I do it? I just don't do it. I check myself before I wreck myself in that moment. Because right now, fuck the 9 years, fuck the 11 months, fuck the 27 days. All I got's right now. They say at the end of the meeting, a lot of meetings, oh, if you're more clean, raise your hand. I never raise my hand. To show the program works. You know what shows me the program works is when somebody who's having a bad day, I don't really want to be here right now. I don't want to share, but they share it and they get it out. And they share the pain that they're going through. Because somehow sharing it in this group of people, that magic, that vibe, helps them, even if it feels a little better. Because the tiniest little bit better is way the fuck better than any worse. Any better is way better than any worse. And I've had to do that. I just fucking right here, right now. I gotta be sober right now, so far. Because that's all the time I got. I woke up this morning at 7 a.m. That's 13 hours from now. That's all the time I've got. You know, sometimes I got to wrestle with freaking using dreams. Thank God I wake up and I found out, oh God, that was just a dream. But when I'm awake, I get out of that bed. That's my spiritual awakening. It's also my physical awakening. You know, and it can be, I suffered. They say in a reading, why are we here? We suffered. No, I suffer from a incurable disease, but it can be arrested at some point, and recovery is then possible. And right here, right now is the point. I've got to arrest it and make my recovery, whether it's on some hippie literature, astrology, Narcotics Anonymous literature, meetings. I've got to make that possible. And that's where I make my recovery possible. That's the point I make my recovery possible, is right now. And that's where I've got to rest. Because the instant I'm not actively in recovery, I'm actively back in addiction. In those thoughts, you know, the prelapse thoughts. I think many of us know, I've heard it in many shares, you know, the prelapse. There's the relapse, but there's the prelapse. And the prelapse is the stuff where ego starts saying, chill. Oh, you don't need to do that. You don't need, I'm tired. I don't need to work on my steps tonight. You know, that's the prelapse. And I've got to avoid my prelapse because I'm doing good. And so far, I've avoided my trigger. So far. But that I got to stay vigilant. Like Joe was saying to me, I stay vigilant as best I can. And you just got to fucking do it. Like I did. I called this guy. I never thought I'd call somebody and say, hey, dude, I feel like doing drugs right now. You know, I didn't need to make that call. All I had to do was just say, hey, give me some of those fucking shrooms. And I made the call. I don't know what triggered that. But thank God I did it. Because, see, here's a lot that I've been going on, but I'm going to try and make this utterly quick right here. Is a lot of times I pray. I pray to myself. I pray to this thing I call my, whatever I call it. I pray to it, man. And I say, okay, what the fuck's going on here? I'm, a few months ago, February or March or whatever, I went to one of the first concerts post-COVID because we thought it was gone away in Wyoming, right over here in Jackson, Wyoming. And I'm at this cool concert. All these Grateful Dead-like bands and cover bands and people I know bands are playing. And there's all these beautiful women, you know, and I'm the lonely guy. And they all got their beer in their hand. They all got their fucking vape pens and all that shit. And I'm like, God, man, just help me out here, man. What do I do? What the fuck do I do? And I prayed on that, you know. And then several hours later, because I was working at my friend's tie-dye booth. So several hours later, way later in the evening, all these dudes I used to know come in. And they're all, bunch of fucking Yetis, dude. Yetis, straight up. And I realized for a second, I said, you know what? If I was wasted, I would know exactly what the fuck they're saying because I have no fucking clue what the hell they're saying right now. And I just realized, holy fuck, that's what I was like. And it's so strange how I just need to be patient with this thing, this concept, this semiotic variable, whatever you need, the grand nothing if you're an atheist, the group, your sponsor, the doorknob. I got to be patient with it. I've just got to be patient with it because the answers soon come. Like I said, the thing was crushed my head. And God wasn't pissed that I got pissed at God. Come the fuck down here in a spaceship and tell me how this works. And that was in like August. I was arrested in October. That was 2011. I got the words I had asked for written down as I asked in May or it was April or May when I first went to my in-person Narcotics Anonymous meeting and saw the 12 steps. So find something that works for you, man, and work it, buddy. Thank you very much, man.
Kevin, I appreciate it.
As mine has blessed me with all of you.
I appreciate it, brother. I really like your insight and your perspective on recovery and how you use so many different forms, not just the literature of the 12-step program that you personally work. I want to thank you so much for being on here tonight. You don't understand how much you've helped me personally, and I know you've helped many just by reading all the comments that have been come flooding in. You're a spirit animal to some, and you are no longer, just FYI, you are no longer Nancy negative. You are no longer Nancy negative. You
come
are
on,
Captain
Nelly.
Free.
Come on.
No. You are now
You're negative Nancy all day long, motherfucker.
You're Captain Freelove now, brother. It's changed. You are definitely Captain Freelove now. That was freaking great. That was amazing. I have to have you back on here again.
Captain Freelove, bro.
I've got it. This would be great. I appreciate you being on here tonight. I want to thank everybody for hanging in there and listening and participating in your recovery, not only mine and Kevin's, but everyone's recovery. Stay vigilant, like Kevin said. That is the utmost important. Share open and honest. If you're having a shitty day, share. If you're having a great day, share. You guys know I'm big on gratitude. Try to wake up with that attitude of gratitude daily, guys, and change that mindset from a negative one to a positive one. Get out of your head. Get out of that stinking thinking and try to have that attitude of gratitude daily. It helps me tremendously. It helps many tremendously. And I have a choice whether I want to stick in my shit, stay in my shit and let it eat me up and consume me all day, or I can change my thought process and my attitude and let go and let my higher power do the work or do the driving, and I have to put in the work. Living clean. That's it, baby. I'm going to end it. Kevin requested the gratitude prayer that I like to say in a Zoom meeting, at the end of a Zoom meeting, usually when I share my experience, strength, and hope. That's the Noon at the Beach meeting. Kevin, you have worldwide audience tonight. It's awesome. I've seen South Africa in here tonight. It's amazing. It's amazing how this reaches around the world and the beauty of the WE program and the therapeutic value of one person, one addict, one alcoholic, helping another. It's beautiful. There it is, baby. Love. All right. Once again, thanks guys for tuning in. I'm going to end it with the gratitude prayer. For those that have never heard this is an awesome prayer. The gratitude prayer. I've recovered from something I've never had, something I've never imagined possible. The life of a recovering addict. Thank you, higher power, and more than words can say. Amen. Thank you each and every one for being on here. Kevin, brother, I love you. Thanks for being on here tonight, and I hope everybody has a great night. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll catch you later.